Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Hello and welcome to another special Between Takes episode of Missing Frames. I'm your host, Shawn EASTRIDGE, and normally on Missing Frames we watch all the movies we should have seen by this point in our lives. The Between Takes episodes are really a chance to get outside of that format and do things like festival coverage, filmmaker interviews, franchise boys hangouts where we go through entire franchises and rate and review them and rank them because we are nuts. But in this case, we're continuing, and when I say we, I mean me. I am continuing my coverage of the 2023 Atlanta Film Festival. I interviewed the director of a short film, Would You Still Love Me, Ramsey Telhami, and the writer of said short film, Alex Petkus. And I met these two at one of the filmmaker hangouts. Ramsey just approached me and was asking me what I do, and he's like, you should meet my friend Alex who wrote this movie with me. So I met the two of them. They were awesome. I kept hanging out with them throughout the festival, and we got a chance to chat, to sit down and have a lovely chat about their film, Would You Still Love Me? And we talk about the concept of the film. It's hard to do these festival reviews, the coverage, the interviews, because a lot of these things are not readily available for you, the listening public, who I love so much, to see. But I hope you get something out of this conversation regardless, and hopefully someday you will be able to see it. And someday you'll be able to see Ramsey and Alex's work anyway, because they're both awesome, and they're definitely going to be making things that the viewing public will flock to. They will be very famous and wonderful and beloved the world over. But we talk a little bit about independent filmmaking and low budget productions. They made this movie, this short film, it's 4 minutes long, for I think roughly $100 to $200. Typically with short films, I know I've kind of gotten caught up in the mindset of oh my God, how would I even make a film if I want to? A short one costs thousands, tens of thousands. But in this case, Ramsey and Alex put together a pretty great movie, and very simple, very effective, very, very funny, and it's getting into festivals and screening everywhere. So that's kind of fantastic. So we talk a little bit about kind of what it's like to use the resources you have at your disposal to make a film that will be awesome. And Ramsey has a great story about another production he'd done, another short-ish film. I think it was 30-40 minutes, but it was a lot of money went into it, a lot of resources, and it wasn't as nearly as successful. And he kind of looks at the film as a failure in and of itself, but a really great learning experience, because for him, he jumped off that and went to this. He went way simpler, something that was easier to manage, and realized that you don't have to go all out. You can make something simple and cheap and still have it be super effective and awesome. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get into this interview, and I hope you enjoy listening.
Now available to own on video cassette.
Well, let's go ahead, and why don't you, Ramsey, we'll start with you. You introduce yourself and your role on this film, and then Alex, you go after him, because we want everyone to know who we're listening to. How to distinguish between the dulcet tones that they're hearing today.
Hello, dear listeners. My name is Ramsey Telhami, and I directed and edited Would You Still Love Me?
Hey, I'm Alex Petkus, and I am the writer of Would You Still Love Me and sort of a producer. Ramsey credited me as a producer anyway.
I met both of you at this year's Atlanta Film Festival. What a wonderful event it was. Ramsey approached me, seeing that I was lonely in a corner on the verge of an emotional breakdown, and he walked over and pulled me out of it. So.
I was curious. In the Filmmaker Lounge, when I started talking to you, when Ramsey already approached you, was that the first time you guys were talking? Or
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
that was the first time we met, and then it just everything went from there. It was peachy and lovely and great, and we became the best of friends. And now we're here to talk about finally your movie, which I had watched. I didn't get to be in the theater to watch it with an audience, but you two can fill me in on all the details there. But tell me, first and foremost, how did you two meet each other? How did you get involved?
Yeah, we had the mutual friends, so she's like, "Hey, I've got this friend. Do you have space?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have space." So we put Ramsey up for like, I don't know, a month, but I think we even like just had a quick phone call just to make sure he wasn't like a weirdo. And I was like, "Nah, he's fine. He seems like a respectable fellow, you know. I think it'll be fine." And then we
And
met in
then you,
person and he was.
yeah, oh, I thought you were, and we met in person, and it was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Managed to
unfortunately.
keep my weirdness in check just long enough.
Just until you were able to get out before they.
Just to fool me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
As soon as I got to the next place, I was writing on the walls with food and all that, but I held it in for just long enough.
Appreciate it.
So when did this conversation start about like we need to make something? You were already a filmmaker and you'd moved to Atlanta, Ramsey, to kind of get involved in this scene down here. Were you intending to shoot stuff right off the bat? Was like that what you wanted to do? You just wanted to meet filmmakers in Atlanta?
Yeah, well, something I noticed in Atlanta, it was a while. I think I'd moved out for like a month or two before we started talking making stuff. But it was a point where I'd felt pretty settled into the new job. And I was like a line cook, which was very different than anything I'd ever done and a lot more hectic. And so it was like a while of doing that before it was like, okay, I could actually do something else, like manage doing anything else other than being a line cook. And I started feeling stale from not making movies. And Alex and I had briefly talked about like what we'd done and what our ambitions were. I knew Alex was a good actor from some of the stuff she'd already been in. But yeah, I think I just invited you to like Waffle House to talk shop, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like, right when Ramsey moved in, like, we both knew we were film industry people because it's like it takes 2 seconds to find out. You talk and you're like, ah, yes, okay, so we're both in the industry, got it. But yeah, Ramsey invited me over to Waffle House, and he's like, I kind of want to make shorts on the regular. I think the original plan was 1 week, and I was like, that's a little ambitious. We were doing pretty good, actually. For a little while, we were aiming for one every 2 weeks. But I think eventually we kind of found our flow and eased back to like once a month. And so we would have like a writing session and kind of made it whatever you want to get out of the group is kind of what you get out of it, which I kind of really liked because during the pandemic, I would get together with two of my friends and we would have writing meetings. So it was nice getting back into writing with a group and having like that accountability to create. And then our format has adjusted even since Ramsey's gone back. So, it's no longer so much like a filming accountability thing, but it's still writing. It's still like people who want to write come with their goals. And then if you want to take something out of the meeting and you can just like go make it on your own, or you can pull people from the meeting to help go make it. But it's more, just getting the creative juices flowing rather than, for sure wanting to come out with a product. But at the time we were making products, which was very cool too.
Were you intending to act in them, or were you like, no, I want to do more writing and more behind the scenes stuff, Alex?
A little bit of both because, the goal was to kind of get out whatever you want to get out of it. Obviously, as an actor, I'm always looking for opportunities to act. So, if there's a role for me, it would kind of be cool to have like first pick on the role because, you're part of the core group. And then if you're like, oh, well, this role's not really like showcasing me, or it's like, I feel like we need a different type, or, we have one called Dirt, which is casting a woman more like in her 40s, I think it was.
Yeah.
And so obviously that's not my type. So I'm not going to play that one because
I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit as an actor. I think
you think I can pull off 40? Thank you.
Yes, I think a true actor can portray well beyond their years.
Yeah, and I think we might have still casted young. I don't know if we cast. I know we cast Kara, but I just don't know if she was in her 30s.
She presents as younger than the role was like written for, but she was also just the person for that role.
Right.
Like she was the best at that tone far and away.
Yeah, you just get that as an actor. You get things that are like, oh, this is my essence. I can do this with my eyes closed. And then you get things that you're like, okay, this would just like fit someone else to a T. It's not me, but it's somebody else, But yeah, I was definitely looking to focus on acting and writing. I mean, I enjoy writing, but usually I write to act.
Yes. You're giving yourself your own material, basically.
Right.
Which is what they say to do anyway, is when it comes to filmmaking. And that's, I think, what a lot of people have to do out of necessity, is instead of waiting around, just making something themselves. It sounds like that's kind of what you were doing, Ramsey, and you'd made a couple shorts before. You directed some stuff, and you had you were telling me about one short that you like kind of went all out as far as like budget and like, this is going to be my big thing. And that experience didn't go quite as well as you were hoping, but tell me a little bit about that.
So when I was a sociology major, I was like a really serious student, and I just kind of I was working two jobs, making more money than I'd made before, and I was an honors student and just really busy all the time. And I knew that I wanted to make a narrative short, right? Like the whole time that I wasn't doing a narrative short, I was like, I have to be doing something creative, like something that's what I want to do. And so I just started writing and pre-producing it while I was still a student and saving up money. And like, part of it is I didn't have a lot of free time to be spending money when I was a student, but I wound up saving like $10,000 dedicated to this short film and raising another $10,000 to make it. And it was this incredibly ambitious. I mean, I hadn't made a project outside of film school. This is my first independent short, putting together a team in the DC area. Never done that before. Never had this kind of money to make something. I mean, everything I'd made before was like DIY, you know, whatever, like maybe scrape some money together to buy something that we realize partway through we need, but don't plan on spending any money going into it. And I hired like a way overqualified cinematographer, an amazing lead actor, who was in House of Cards. He played a bit role in House of Cards. He's like a DC and New York theater guy. Elan Zafir, excellent actor. He just wanted to do something action, and the script was like kind of action. It was like, okay, like the way he explained it to me was like he was getting a little bit old to do action stuff, and he really wanted to like get that foot in the door and have some real footage for action to be considered for it before it was too late, which is how Liam Neeson wound up doing the Taken movies, by the way.
So you're basically like we're making the next Taken.
Yeah, well, hopefully that's how he felt the experience was.
This was all a ploy, really, to get Liam Neeson to be in your next film.
Yeah,
what I'm understanding. But as Qui-Gon Jinn for some reason.
No, not as Qui-Gon Jinn, but dressed as Qui-Gon Jinn and doing the voice and all that stuff.
But just a completely different person.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I like this creative direction. So you made this movie that was giving this actor a chance to be sort of an action hero, and it was really ambitious. And the production, how did the production itself go? It went okay?
Oh, it was horseshit. It's maybe the worst short I've made. It was the most expensive short I've made, and the worst.
It was a good learning experience.
It was a good learning experience. The script was like the length of an episode of a TV show, maybe a Simpsons episode.
Okay.
And I could not afford that amount of shooting time because I'd already budgeted out. I mean, I was hiring professionals to make this, right? It wasn't like something I was just making with friends, and I couldn't afford the amount of shooting days it would have taken to do the script. So like relatively last minute, I rewrote it not very well to be a much shorter version of the same story, and in the process wound up killing. I mean, I thought I was killing my darlings, but I was actually killing all of the heart of the film. And so there's like two scenes that are pretty effective in it still, but it was not what I set out to film, and it was like a lesson in how to spend a lot of money to make something that you didn't want to make and not make any of that money back. Yeah.
So whose idea was Would You Still Love Me? How did you two start brainstorming it? Was Alex, did you write the script? Was it an original idea?
Yeah, I think I had a dream about it, actually. I had I can Ramsey, right? I can spoil it now.
Yeah.
Can we spoil it? Yeah, I was going to say, it's weird. When it comes to festivals, it's like sometimes the movies aren't available. I don't know at what point this will be made available to watch to the public, but it's
also hard because, you know, our film is like 4 minutes, and so it's hard not to spoil it.
Yes.
Yeah. Everything that follows is probably going to be spoilers.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and just get the log line out there so whoever's listening can follow along with us. So, a couple's on a romantic picnic, and the girl is asking all your favorite ridiculous questions. Would you love me if I was somebody else? Would you love me if I was a worm? And, frustrated with the questions, the guy gets back to the girl and he's like, I don't know. Would you love me if I was an alien hive mind who came down to Earth in 2014 in that meteor shower and took over the consciousness of all of Johnsonville, but later learned the preciousness of human life and regretted the decision, but I couldn't undo the consciousness takeover. And then I fell in love with this girl who came to the town, and anyway, you get the point.
I was going to say, I love that you were doing like a kind of a log line, and then you were just so proud of that piece of dialogue you had to quote it verbatim.
Okay, but anyway, yeah. So, in a nutshell, yes, it's a hive mind who fell in love with a girl. Yep.
I love it. And then the punchline is at the end, basically, the dude proposes to her, but then everyone around is all over the world is proposing and doing doing the act and
everyone in Johnsonville. I mean, she had to come from somewhere, right?
I felt like it could be the entire world. Like I wanted it to be the entire world. Like
she's the only one.
Yes, exactly. She's the only one left. So, but that's it in a nutshell. So it was your idea based on a dream. And did you approach Alex and say, do you have anything? Or how did this start? Like, when did you decide this was the script you were going to do?
So we were at a routine writers meeting, and a lot of the time there's a script that I like a lot, but wouldn't know for the love of me how to put it on film. And this was one that when we read it through, I was like, okay, this is like, I can't help but imagine this on screen, and I really want to see it on screen. And it seemed like possible to film with no budget in like a day and a half, which just made it a lot harder to not try to like, once you want to make something and you realize it's possible to make something, you kind of have to. So yeah, I mean, it was an easy choice, easy decision, to helm it. And gosh, was I still living in Atlanta?
I think you were. I think this was before you went back. Yeah. Oh gosh, I don't know.
I don't even remember that timeline. Yeah.
But I mean, I think it was still when you were in Atlanta, because I think it was for one of our writers' meetings, and so I just whipped up something real quick to come to the writers' meeting with something finished, and you're like, I really like this, and I was like, very cool. Unless you were still like tuning in virtually, but I don't think so, because I think we only had them in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you must have still been down here.
Yeah. So
it was 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, 2 years ago at most.
Okay.
Yeah, like it feels like 2 years ago, because the timeline for doing this was relatively long. Because I remember I read the script, I was like, okay, I have to make it, and I started thinking about the pre-production, and then I moved back, and then did I come down? I don't remember if I came down to do a pre-production trip and then came down to film it, or if I just came down and then filmed it. Yeah, I think casting was mostly virtual.
Yeah.
And that's why Alex has a producer credit, because Alex knows all the good actors in Atlanta, if it was trying to cast anything. And also is a good actor in Atlanta. So,
thanks.
Yeah. We have another short that's on YouTube called Here.
There's something people can watch.
Yeah. It's like a minute and a half.
Alex is and you directed?
Yeah. And our friend Justin Scott wrote and edited.
Nice. So, okay. Yeah. So this starts, the gears are turning, and it's pre-production for, it sounds like, quite some time. Like there was a little bit of time before you could figure out logistically, all right, this is when we're going to shoot it. This is when it's going to happen. What was the planning period like, and how did it compare to your other production?
Well, so it was a lot more sane than my other production. I mean, my advice, learning from making something more ambitious beyond my means and experience, is always try, like, for at least your first few things, try something that's small in scale and then make it as good. Find out as many ways to make it as good, as many ways to add value as possible.
That's excellent advice.
Gonna wind up with a much better quality with that, and as long as you're gonna wind up with an end product with much better quality doing that, and as long as the foundations are sound, you'll wind up with something at least okay. The script was like a page and a half. It was like a very solid page and a half script. We probably could have just shot it, and it would have been pretty good, like without putting that much work. Just cast two good lead actors and shoot it, without even like planning, and it would have been like watchable and leave people smiling, right? The project before was like the opposite of that, where it was too many scenes, too many pages, too many locations, too many special effects implementations and stuff like that. And this was like, I mean, that was my point of comparison for doing pre-production somewhat remotely, because that filmed up and down the DMV. It filmed between Virginia and like Baltimore, north of Baltimore. And it was set in South Dakota. What a terrible idea. Because every location had to look like, it had to be within traveling distance and look like it was like it could be South Dakota. This was like my second remote pre-production experience. And so it was the same process of one, calling up people who knew the area really well. Living in Atlanta, I'd met a lot of people who were either filmmakers or just like to wander and check out abandoned buildings and stuff like that. It had a really good sense of stuff, who grew up in Atlanta, like really, really knew the area. The first step was phone calls, because reading the script, I knew it had to be, the only way we were going to film it, it was going to look like right, was if it was like a public park. The problem with Atlanta is a lot of the public parks have a ton of foot traffic. Yeah. You can close off some of them with permits, right? But we're not going to get a permit to do that. And if it looks too familiar, people are going to recognize it, and that changes the script, where like it's very clearly stated in the script that it's like this fictional community, and it has kind of a small town feel, and it makes more sense if it's like in a small town than in a city. And then it was Google Maps is for location scouting. Google Maps, Google Earth, super, super helpful for public locations like this, right?
I'm so impressed that you found that park that you did.
Well,
like
the list
was showing me where it was, and I was like, this is a nice park. I didn't know this was here.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of in the Atlanta burbs. Like, it's still technically Atlanta, right? It's not like Decatur or like one of the other like places people say they live in Atlanta, but it was like Atlanta city proper. But it was just this quiet, massive suburban park that it seemed like no one who worked on the film had ever heard of before. No. So that was like the bulk of the pre-production was location, because that was the make it or break it for a project like this, especially when permits aren't really an option. And it had to have the right look. It had to look rural enough. It had to look almost idyllic. I think thematically it had to look almost idyllic, because it's this like, the story is science fiction. I mean, it's a really low budget. Before I get any further, gonna iterate that we filmed this for no more than $50.
Right, which is insane.
It's
even for low budget is insane.
Yeah, and Ramsey, it's so funny because it's like during the second talkback that I was doing at the festival, I was like, yeah, I found out when Ramsey mentioned that, like, you know, we filmed this for $50, so I think I spent more on Crafty than we did on the film. I think I spent like $100 on Crafty, so 150, most of it was Crafty.
Oh, did you get Craft?
Yeah, because I dropped off and like props for you guys.
We fed the actors? We fed
no.
I know. Wow. Did we?
Oh, okay.
They stuck around.
Yeah. I always want to make sure people are like well fed and taken care of if they're like on our projects, especially if we're not paying them, you know, because it's like, at least take care of your people.
Yes.
So
I remembered most of the money was on Craft. Okay, so I guess that's not. I guess the $50 figure is not entirely accurate then.
Completely changes the story.
Yeah,
150. Are you
and
crazy?
Then you gotta get your sweet snacks. You gotta get your savory snacks. You gotta get your candy. You have to have like all those snack food groups.
You like switched into a New York accent. I loved it.
I know, right?
I hope everyone listening at home appreciates this.
Oh.
This is why they pay the big bucks, the 150 big bucks.
The 150.
So how long was the production? Was it a day, 2 days?
The principal, like the photography for what I'll call like principal photography, I guess.
The park scenes?
The park scenes, the stuff with the lead actors was a day. It was just dictated by sunrise and sunset when the light looked similar enough to cut together with a little bit of color grading. And then it was maybe a half day of getting the credit stuff, which that was the one part that wasn't in the script that partway through pre-production, like it seemed like it was set up for a punchline, and that's when the idea for the cutaways came. It was like, it seems like a waste. Like, it was an idea that just came to me reading breaking down the script. It was like, now it seems like a waste if we don't do this, because it would be so easy to get and it would add so much. And initially it was going to be the credits footage. We just have credits over each of the individual shots. And then editing it, the cinematographer Dylan like pointed out to me that the credits were kind of distracting from what was going on. And it was just a lot fun. Like, before I put the credits in, it was a lot funnier just cutting away. And so that's why we wound up doing just one reel, because the credits are so short. Like, why we wound up doing just one screen of credits at the end instead of doing that. But yeah, a day of principal photography, maybe a half day of getting the cutaways at the end.
Yeah, for anyone listening, the cutaways at the end are when the whole town is still making out. So yeah, the whole town's kneels down and proposes.
They're miming making out because they're connected to the hive mind, but they're not making out with anybody.
Right.
And
we leave the park, we go to like a car intersection, and they're all like making out with an imaginary person. We go, in front of a house, and whoever was walking their dog is now making out. The dog walks away.
Yes. The home is burning down. There's smoke in the home, and the detector. Oh my God. I can't believe how hard it was to say that. The smoke detector is going off, and it's great.
Yeah. The budget, that was the other thing we spent money on, was the hazer spray. I think it was all craft hazer spray, and then like a picnic blanket from a thrift store that was like, I mean, it was just fabric. It wasn't a real picnic blanket, but it looked like a picnic blanket. I think that was $2.50 from this thrift place in North Carolina.
Do you have any specific memories or funny memories where it's something that somebody watching would look at it and be like, oh, that's so simple, but turned out to be really difficult, or anything that stood out on the shooting days that was like, oh, this is, I'll never forget this moment?
So turns out syncing up a monologue at the same rate, having everyone say a monologue at the same rate, is really tricky. That was like at least half of the shoot. I'm surprised we got all the shots, because like Dylan and I went into it with a shot list and we got every single thing on the shot list, but it did not feel like we were going to, because of how long getting the monologue shots like at a rate, like framing them up, one, that they'd cut together and not be like too jarring, and two, getting everyone to deliver the monologue identically and at the same rate took so long. And we got poor. So we cast John, I think, day of.
I think because you had I think, what was it? Your original lead came down with COVID or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it came down with COVID.
I mean, I just check it out. I never met him in person, so like. But
sometimes you get really happy accidents. I mean, sometimes the things that you have to get creative with are ultimately like some of the best solutions and make it better. Yeah. And
I think John's performance is so like specific in a way that really works for this. Because he knows how to be just the right amount of stiff.
That it seems watching like watching it, I was like, this guy, I can't track this performance. And then when I realized what was happening, it all clicked.
Yeah. John was one of Alex's recommendations early on when I'd asked about like recommendations for the leads. And I thought it was really good, but then I cast a wide backstage net, because so much of the like production value that comes to the story is in the casting. Like, usually when young people make a short film without a budget, all the actors look like them, and you can kind of tell. And I knew that like for this to work, we had to have bit roles for the hive mind that were believable, like demographic representation for an entire town. And so I just put leads down in the backstage, because I was doing a backstage casting anyway. And there was some guy I really, really liked for the role of Noah. In retrospect, I'm really happy he couldn't make it, because I think John, like on screen, was a lot better.
Happy accidents. I'm just saying.
But the challenge that came from that was this script is mostly John monologuing. And there's a lot of dialogue that has to be delivered really quickly. And so that was tough. And I felt bad when we were doing it because it was like, this is the script. Like, there's no way to get around this. We can cut around it somewhat, but it won't. A lot of it needs to be in one shot. And we had that like push in. That's kind of the moment when you go, oh, this is he
Right.
serious? Right?
You're like, something's
And
not right.
like chunks of it have to be, like we were able to cut around it. I don't think we had many takes where he delivered the whole thing all the way through, and I'm like surprised he was able to do it on no notice as well as he was, because like it's kind of insane. But yeah, like those were that syncing up the hive minds and getting that monologue. Those were the hardest things.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Okay, so I wasn't there for the majority of filming because I think I might have been in pre-production for I have another one that I was kind of doing roughly at the same time. So I think I was in pre-production for Flipping the Bird, which is my other piece that I'm working on right now. But I was there when we were location scouting, and I know you were collecting all of the dandelion fluff.
Oh yeah.
Because it's a subtle thing. I don't know
Right.
if people really notice it, but there's like dandelion fluff like in the wind.
Yes.
And I think I did show up for the first day. Maybe it was still location. Yeah, I think it was location and doing some like camera tests. And that was one thing that we were trying to figure out was like how to get dandelion fluff to blow just right in the wind where it's not like just dumping it, but it's going where you want it to. We spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah.
How did you ultimately succeed? What's the secret?
What did you guys do?
I think I was blowing the dandelions. Like I just had big clumps of them in my hand. I think we tried it a few different ways, but it was easier for me to like do it in the very specific way that I wanted. And so literally we had a bucket, like a like 4-gallon or something, big old bucket filled with dandelions, went from park to park collecting dandelions, just felled this bucket with dandelion fronds. And I just grab them by the handful, stand off screen, and like blow them. And it took, we went through a lot before I got like the rate, because it's harder to blow dandelion fluff in a very specific way than you might think.
Imagine.
And I had to loosen it up just the right amount that it would go in
So it's
the
not
direction
clumps.
that I was
Right.
blowing. But yeah, it wouldn't look like big clumps. So yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So how long did it take to get everything together in post? Like, I imagine maybe a couple weeks. Like, about how long?
It felt like it took longer to edit than to do anything else, but this was also something that I've learned is that it's a lot faster to edit something when you're not trying to edit it as the director. And editing, like, since this was something that I worked on from post-production, like read the earliest shown draft of the script and then worked on it with post-production, I had like a very specific cut in my head, which I think is hard not to do as a director. And it took a while. Like, I did an initial cut and I was like, okay, this is not what, like, the way it edited together in my, and it never is.
Right.
But this is not the way I edited in my head. And then I need to take some time off. Like, I think it was the initial cut that I shared with you guys. And then I took like 2 or 3 weeks to just get that out of my head. Cause it was getting such I realized everything I'd made from the cut that I'd shown, I was becoming kind of incomprehensible.
Mm.
And then Dylan was driving. The big breakthrough was when Dylan, the cinematographer, was driving up to Vermont. He's a documentarian primarily. He's just screened his first feature documentary. He's a really good storyteller, just instinctive storyteller.
Very cool.
And he screened his first feature-length documentary in Vermont recently, and then flew to Puerto Rico to start. I'm not going to share the concepts. I don't think I'm at liberty, but it's got quite a hook. I mean, it's like a mystery documentary. It's like a real life mystery. It's got quite a hook. He was driving up to Vermont for that feature, and like I just showed him the edit because I needed a new, just the
New perspective.
premiere session.
Yeah.
I needed a new set of eyes, and he like pointed out something to me that just made it possible to do the next several drafts and power through it. Not sure how long this timeline was, but it seems like it was as long as the entire pre-production and production process to edit. Most of that was just me like not wanting to face the edit session.
Well, what did he tell you? What was the key piece that kind of made it click for you?
He pointed out to me that I was editing the script and I wasn't editing the performances.
Gotcha.
And it was too snap, and like there was a lot of really good performance from Courtney and John that I was cutting out to get to the next line faster.
Yeah.
And it didn't have any room to breathe. And that's when like the edit kind of revealed itself. Because in my head it was like, and I guess because the script is mostly dialogue because it's so lean, I was like imagining it like Abbott and Costello, like kind of an old timey line comedy bit. And even though in casting and pre-production that wasn't what like revealed itself as the best way to do it, because there's an earnestness to this script that I really liked. Like the combination of absurdity and earnestness was really appealing. And like it wasn't until like Dylan sat me down and was like, don't throw this stuff away, that I like found the edit and found the way to like showcase the performances in the edit in the way that I think makes it click when you watch it now.
I have a lot of respect for editors because it's like I can see something and I can recognize it, and if the rough bones of something are already like there, I know enough to like give notes, but like to build it from like the ground up, I wouldn't know how to do that. But yeah, I think that is a very common pitfall though, is to just go from like dialogue to dialogue to dialogue, and I think so much of the performance is also in like the nonverbal.
Yeah, and especially when it's like, I mean, I think this was also harder for me to edit than usual because it was something that I'd seen from the beginning. But like, so much of these performances is nonverbal, and like especially like Courtney is a very expressive actress. She can say a lot with just a look. And so much of the script is her reacting to John. And like not using that was, yeah, it became a lot better after that talk. But yeah.
So when, how long after you finished it did you start submitting it to festivals? Was it something where you showed it to your kind of creative circle first and then there was a thought of like, well, maybe we should do this? Or was it something where you're like, what the hell? I'm going to submit and see what happens.
Well, I showed it to Ajar Films, like the writers group first, for a set of eyes of people
Ajar
who'd
being the
seen
name
it.
of our thing. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
We haven't referenced it up to this point, I don't think.
Yeah. But for the first set of eyes of people who'd seen the project develop, that was what I showed it to. And then I showed it to, it might have been a while before I showed it to like friends and family outside of that, because usually I don't want to show something to people who have no investment in the film until it's good. There's like a few cuts, and then I showed it to a mentor who'd made the first person outside of Ajar and like who wasn't attached to the film in any capacity I showed it to was a later cut when it was really starting to come together. I think it was just music wasn't finalized at that point, and the color grade wasn't quite music, sound, and the color grade weren't quite finalized, but otherwise like picture was locked. And she was a really overqualified woman who made my disaster of a very expensive short film possible. Learned so much work with her. Her name's Sheila Smith. She's a cinematographer, mostly like corporate video and news cinematographer in the DC area, but that's because like that's what the work is in the DC area. And I was like, if it clicks for her, then I'll believe it works. And there was a point where the point where John proposes, like with the ring and the music, the sentimental music kicks in, she like started tearing up, and I was like, okay, it works.
Yeah.
It's
You know
so
what's funny?
funny.
It's like going back to the whole like editing for the dialogue versus editing for the performance. There's this moment where Courtney like she doesn't say anything, but she just has that little it's like this little like sigh or like almost like stifled sob or something like when he proposes, and I think that might also be like a whole because like the music comes in, she has that whole little
Yeah.
and then it is very sweet. We were
Yeah.
thinking about like with one of those drafts when he sent it to like the Ajar chat, we were thinking about doing, kind of more a quirky outro with the music because we're like, oh, it's a joke, or maybe we can like go back and forth with it. But I think that reads more sketch. And I do think in the end that like very touching music makes it like
it
sweet.
makes it work. Yeah. And it's like they always say with improv, when you're trying to be funny actively, that's when you're not funny. It's when you're organically in the scene and in the moment. And because you play it straight, that's what makes it's respecting your audience. Like I know you're not thinking of it intentionally that way, but it's respecting that the audience is in that moment with you and that they'll meet you halfway. If you like hit them over the head with it, then all of a sudden it kills the joke.
Yeah. That's some of like my favorite stuff is finding things to pair that like create more of a vibe one way or another. Like, oh sorry, I was like, what is that? My neighbor's car or something, or motorcycle. It's very noisy.
Is driving through your house right now.
Through my house. I was
Sadly,
like,
our listeners can't see it, but I'm sure they may have heard it.
Probably. But yeah, finding ways to like not beat a horse to death. Yeah. Like trusting that your audience is smart.
This is going to be like a weird comp. I guess both of these are going to be weird comps for this, but something that partway into pre-production, partway into editing, I realized was like the dialogue scenes that I like the most from in any movies tend to be from either In Bruges specifically by Martin McDonagh or like Todd Solondz. I don't know if you know Todd Solondz. He has the most savage satires, like the most like knives out, cutthroat condemnations of white suburbia are by Todd Solondz. Happiness is his most famous.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that. I haven't seen it.
He also did Welcome to the Dollhouse. That was like his breakout with Heather Mazzarato's breakout role. And Wiener Dog was his most recent. He's doing a new one with, I think, Colin Farrell and Rachel Weisz.
Okay.
But those, like, they're dialogue scenes that really strike me as, like, this is amazing, and really, like, leave my head, or stick in my head after watching the film, are the ones where you don't know what the appropriate way to feel is, where someone's saying something, and it's really funny, but it's really messed up also, and you feel a little bit, like, iffy about laughing, but you can't not laugh because it's funny, but you feel a little bit bad about it. And, like, the ones where every few beats, you don't know what the appropriate way to respond is. You're feeling stuff. You're feeling multiple conflicting things, but you just don't know what's appropriate.
Gotcha.
And it's clear from the craft that was the intent. That it's not a lack of clarity. It's like deliberate ambiguity and like deliberate contradiction. And that was like the choice with the music at the end. I tried a few comedy type tracks and it just seemed too on the nose. And it was also like, I realized using the sentimental music emphasized something different than using the comedy music. Because using the comedy music blocks out any of the notes that aren't comedy. It like overpowers them. And using the sentimental music makes the earnest performances a lot more salient. Mm-hmm. And so when that ending happens, like you feel, I remember when we saw, like you mentioned kind of the same thing in your theater. This was in two we each saw it in 2 separate sold out theaters
Yeah,
at the Atlanta Film
we sold
Festival.
out at first, and then they opened up the second theater to screen at the same time. So we
Right.
kind of split up between the 2 theaters. So
Partway through the short, you have all kinds of audible reactions in the audience, and that was like the most gratifying thing.
Yeah. I was going to ask
watching the
that. Like,
film.
what was it like watching it with the audience and realizing, like, yes, it works?
There were people going like, "Oh, hell no," and people, like, people cracking up and people like cooing at the same time.
No.
And that was like, yeah, that was like really. It meant a lot to see the film play in that way.
yeah. No, yeah, same thing for my theater. Is like just people laughing the whole time. I think we also had similar reactions. I think someone might have been like, no. Because it's like when it starts pushing in and he starts talking about being a hive mind, everyone gets a little uneasy, but everyone's also still laughing. So yeah, everyone was laughing nonstop the first time. And then I actually also sat in for our encore screening because for our block, they're like, wow, we sold out twice. Let's do it a third time. So I don't think we sold out for the third time. At least online we did. But we had a pretty much full theater by the time we started. I think there were maybe just a few seats that were empty. But yeah, second time, not quite as enthusiastic an audience as the first because, I think a lot of like the filmmakers were no longer there. They all had to fly out to their respective states. So it's like not as much pressure to be like, yeah. But also it's kind of nice because then that's like, oh, this is kind of like the,
General audience.
the general audience. Yeah. So if something's funny, it's actually funny. It's not just people being encouraging with laughing.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, people weren't laughing right away from the start, but like when it just like exponentially picked up pretty much right from John's monologue again. So it was like laughter, and then, right up to the kiss. And I think someone audibly said like, oh, I love that. And then, it died down. And then of course all the like, cutaways to around town. Everybody started laughing again. Everyone loves the dog too. So
yes, that's my favorite for sure.
So I was
anytime you can throw a dog
back.
into a movie, it's immediately like this is 5 stars. I guess I would ask Ramsey, you've kind of talked a little bit about I think one of the prime lessons is just like how you can do a lot with a little. But for both of you, what do you take away from this experience? Is it that? What else? Like and it's fine if that's the big thing. Because that's what I took when talking to you about just how amazing it was that $20,000, it felt like you were less fulfilled by that. But this was like you made it with your friends with some like just scrappy little production crew, put it together for cheap. And then the result was much more fulfilling creatively. And then festival wise, you're getting into festivals and getting this screened and seen by audiences.
You
Do you have something to say?
Oh, sure. I mean, I do. Actually, it's kind of in a similar vein as that. I mean, yeah, it's super neat that we made this for roughly like $150, I think it was super eye-opening to me that, yeah, along that same lines is that we made it into the Atlanta Film Festival. Like, it was super affirming to know that, the creative vision can be enough, that people recognize that, I mean, obviously more money is great. It gets you a polished look, sure. But knowing that people can watch your thing and like see the creativity behind it and say, hey, this is good enough to be in this Oscar qualifying festival. You're like, oh, I'll be honest. I thought it was cute, I thought we did a good job, but I wasn't expecting like to really get the recognition that we were getting. I was like, oh yeah, we did a good job. It's funny. I audibly laughed when I watched it too. But I was like, yeah, that's it. It's cute, but having people recognize it's like, oh, okay, we don't have to have like, yeah, tens of thousands of dollars to do this. Like,
you don't have to overthink it.
Yeah, like I know a lot of people who have crowdfunded for their movies, and I applaud them for that. But like anytime have a film, I just kind of do it out of my own pocket because I'm like, oh, if I'm crowdfunding, this has to be like my capstone. It has to be like,
right. It puts pressure on it for sure.
Yeah, because
You're like, I'm going to take this person's money, and this better be worth. They better like it. Yeah.
Right. I feel like I can only ask people for money so many times, and so I'm like, I'm not ready yet, you know. So it's kind of nice to know that like you can just get together with your network, create something for next to nothing, and if you put enough like thought and care into it, people will recognize that. So yeah.
Anything to add, Ramsey?
Yeah, I mean, I think the lessons that I learned that I'm going to continue to follow from this one are, one, like, don't start pre-production until you have a solid script, because I think that's going to be the guiding star through the whole thing. And I think that's a lot of why. I mean, the script was already like really, really good before any of that started. And two, like, plan more than you have to, for, especially if like you're going to have a lot of people there on one day and you're not going to be able to do reshoots for a lot of it. This shoot went like shockingly smoothly. Again, we were able to get the whole shot list, and I think so much of that was finding the exact right location and figuring out the order that we had to film things in for maximum efficiency, like well ahead of time. Because it was weird. I mean, when you asked like, were there any lessons from this? I was like, what did I really? And it's like, I think this went so smoothly compared to like other low budget filmmaking experiences that it felt like that was hard for me to, because usually the lessons like, where did I screw up really badly and learn to not do that again? And this was kind of,
it reaffirmed like when the talent is there and when the people are committed to making it happen. You're good, you're solid.
I mean, for me at least, it was seeing things work well after a project where like everything fell apart. So
yeah. Nice. So what's happening next, Alex? You're working on stuff. When are these things going to festivals? What's happening? What's the plan?
Yeah, we'll see. I'm still in post-production on the same short that I was in pre-production at the time. Sometimes it just happens like that. Post can last a while. So that one, it's actually almost done. That one's called Flipping the Bird. It's about a guy who is trying to escape his corporate monotony. So he joins a bird club only to discover that it is just one woman in the woods pretending to be a bird.
Are you the woman?
I am the woman. Yes.
Yes. And is this something you wrote? Or are you just acting in this?
Nope. This is another thing that I wrote, and it was actually for our AJAR writers meetings. And so that was the one that I was like, I really like this one. I'm gonna take this one and I'm gonna do something with it. Yeah. Nice.
So the AJAR productions will continue. It sounds like. Ramsey, what are you working on? Are you just kind of enjoying like right now? Just enjoy, take a break, and then.
No, breaks are a bad idea.
Just keep the momentum going.
Well, right now, I mean, the stuff that I'm getting out the door before I get invested in anything else is the backlog of AJAR stuff. I finally got some of the footage in the Atlanta trip that hadn't finished being edited to get out the door. There's like 3 projects that one of them's pretty close. I just got to do sound on it. And 2 of them are going to need quite a bit of work before they're ready to be filmed. But the AJAR backlog is like the first thing. After that, when I can no longer feel guilty about working on other projects, there's a short film that I'm working on with the same lead of Would You Still Love Me, Courtney. We're going to do like a straight action film, which is something new for both of us. The short I wasted a ton of money on was supposed to be an action film, and that didn't really. There's an action scene in it, but it didn't wind up being that. And it's like, I know I got to do an action film. Like I'm gonna feel like I have to do an action film until I just do another action film. So
nice.
Yeah, Courtney punching people.
I'm
on screen.
there. Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I want. That's what I need from every movie I see, really.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
And I also got a feature that I'm in. I've been doing like grant writing for it. First time I've ever done grant writing. It's also the first feature I've had that there are grants that it might be a good fit for because it's
Right.
about like a social issue. But it's a horror tinged story about Baltimore area homelessness. It's based off of my experiences volunteering. And yeah, it's very different. Also very different totally than Would You Still Love Me. It's very dark and sweet. Yeah.
When will the world see it?
Hopefully the world will see it. Hopefully in 3 or 4 years seems like a relatively realistic timeline. I mean, it's a feature. This is new territory for
features
me.
are a beast.
Yeah, I've heard that once you do your first, it's a lot easier to like go through the steps again. But this is like a whole new thing.
I gotcha.
So.
Well, I'm excited to see all of the above, both of your
Thanks.
stuff, and hopefully someday working with you two as well, because you're both lovely people, extremely talented, and the movie is a blast and great. So pat yourselves on the back,
Thank you.
please.
Will do.
And thank you both for hanging out and chatting about movie making.
Yeah, thanks for having us.